I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, September the 18th, brought to you in part by the National Beef Wire. Today we're spotlighting a new sponsor, Brahmagen Commodities. You can check them out on channel 1075. They've got an office right there in the brand new exchange building of the Bluegrass Stockyards headquarters there in Lexington, Kentucky. Brahmagen Commodities, they can help you out with whatever you want to do. I know you guys hear us talk about hedging your cattle, hedging your grains, risk management, things like that, but you're not really sure what you want to do. Just give them a call and they can help you out with whatever you need to do. Better yet, if you're just looking to speculate in some commodities, you can open an account there with Brahmagen, and this market's going to come back. You might as well get along for the ride. But Brahmagen Commodities, right there in Lexington, Kentucky, but you can get hold of them from anywhere and take care of all your brokerage needs. South Korea confirmed that they've got African swine fever, and that is a big deal. It didn't help the hog market on Tuesday here, but it's a big deal. This African swine fever is probably going to encompass the entire globe. But it's hit China the hardest, and China has dropped their pork tariffs now. They're in a bad way. They're rationing pork. It's said that they're going to lose maybe as much as 80% of their hog populations over there. They've already confirmed, which is hard for us to believe that they've confirmed anything. They've already confirmed that they're well into the 40 percentile range, nearly half of their hog populations there. And China has, in the past, has been responsible for half of the world's hogs. If they've lost as many hogs as we fear, probably well over half, it's hard to get any true news out of there, but if they've lost as many hogs as they can, we can't make them up. We can't make that many hogs. We don't raise that many in the Western Hemisphere to catch up on what they've lost. So they're going to have to find protein somewhere. But they have in the past raised half of the world hogs, and they don't export any pork. They sop it all up right there. There's so many people over there. Here in the United States, we've got less than a third as many people as they have in China, and they all live in condensed population areas. But we've had some big-time scientists all over the world. One renowned scientist there in Hong Kong has said that maybe this is the most serious animal disease ever. And it's a really big deal. And if we can start getting into trade with China, and I think that whole deal is about to come to a head, but if Trump can get into China, and if we can start sending some beef over there, we don't have near enough, guys. The last thing we're going to worry about is an Impossible Burger commercial out of Burger King, because we're going to have so much demand for beef. If they've had a taste of it, some of them over there, they want more, they just can't get their hands on it. But if we can start doing that, and guys, it's just a matter of time before that disease gets over here and gets into our herd, and I hate to say it, but it's inevitable that it's going to happen. And if you don't think that these big pig factories are nervous, I know people that work in those, they post live pigs that they suspect might have a symptom, just trying to stay on top of it all the time. They are just so fearful that that disease is going to come in. But that African swine fever is a bad deal, and it's taken over, and it may be a godsend for your cattleman. Sure hate to say it, there's not that many independent hog producers anymore, so I can say it out loud. But it could be a godsend and save the cattle industry, because they're going to be needing some protein, and not fake meat either. They need the real stuff. But keep your ear to the ground and your eyes glued for more reports on this African swine fever. Also, don't forget to set up your Twitter account. You got to get set up on Twitter, because next week, remember, every day next week on that Fair Cattle Markets push, we are going to tweet Real Donald Trump, at Real Donald Trump, every day of the week next week, and tell him about the situation that we're facing here with our cattle markets and the monopolistic practices and the price gouging and everything that's gone on since the Holcomb fire. So you've got to get your Twitter account set up so you're ready to go for next week. I was talking to a friend of mine. He reminded me of a history lesson, and I did some research on that. We need President Trump to come in here and do what Teddy Roosevelt did 115 years ago. If you remember Teddy Roosevelt, he was big on breaking these trusts up. He broke up more than 40 monopolies during his time in presidency, and then the following presidency of Taft, he broke up a bunch more than that. But it was a time when we had booming in industry, and they didn't take them very long to figure out if they started working together that they could overtake things. But back in 1905, Teddy Roosevelt broke up what they called the Beef Trust, which was a monopoly, and it was 6 big packing plants at that time, 6 of them: Swift, Armour, Morris, Cudahy, Wilson, and Schwarzschild. And those 6 plants together made up about half of the beef business in the United States. You think, that's not so bad. I wish we had it like that now. Now we've got 4 sopping up well over 80%, and it's still going on. But we need to let President Trump know about this. Like I said before, he's got a lot of irons in the fire. He's got bigger fish to fry probably than this, but this is the biggest fish we got to fry. And if we don't get something done about it, we're going to look up one day and we don't have a cattle industry anymore, similar to the hogs and the chickens, if you look back. But it's a big deal, and you guys need to get your Twitter account set up. We've got a lot of big pushes that's going to come, grassroots pushes here over the next few months. But this is the first big one. It's not going to cost us anything if it doesn't work out, but we've got to, if you know anything about the government, and I was with the government long enough to know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and we've got to do some squeaking. And that's the only way you're going to get anything done on it. We hate to rely on the government to help us out, but I think we're past anything else. But let's look at the markets for Tuesday. The board, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, October live cattle futures were up good, up $1.35 at $99.35. December was up $1.27 at $105.30. You think, why were they up so good? Is this deal about to turn around and come back? Does it have anything to do with the announcement of South Korea having the swine fever in there? I don't know. But also heard that it could be because some of the funds that have been short we're getting out of them. They think, hey, maybe we rode this thing down as far as we can go. We got to start easing out of these short positions. If that's true, then they have to buy back to get out of them. That's enough to make your market go up. Look at your feeder cattle contracts. They were up big. September feeder cattle up $2.62 at $139.17. October's up $3.10 at $137.30. Haven't had any fat cattle trade to speak of at all this week, but you look at what few bids are out there. Call-in bids from 160, maybe 162 on some fancy cattle. But you look at Yankton, South Dakota as market there. They had some really top sales in the ring there. Goes to show you how bad these packers are needing cattle. But you look at some of those prices up there, 112, 113 on some on a lot of those cattle are all natural and things like that. But they still need the carcasses to hang on the hooks. Box beef cutout values are starting to ease off a little bit more. Choice cuts $219.77 down 85 cents. Selects $193.91 down 266. Choice select spread of almost $26 there, but they're getting that thing back kind of where it was before we had the Holcomb fire. What else is going on? I think I remember that I told you about this big Mid-Valley bull sale that's coming up this weekend in Modesto, California. I think I told you it was on Saturday. It's on Friday, September the 20th. So don't fool around. You got to get on there. Go on to dvauction.com Go on to the online catalog for Mid-Valley Bull Sale. Got some of the best Angus cattle on the west coast there out of Modesto, California. It's going to be Friday, September the 20th. The auction is at 1 o'clock Pacific or 3 o'clock Central. You can view and bid right on dvauction.com. Look at your feeder cattle markets, your real-time index on Cattle Market Central. Late in the day on Tuesday at 138.55, up 67 cents. Look at OKC West. They had their calf sale, if you remember. Now you start watching. Now the yearling sale on Wednesday has been bigger, but this calf sale is going to start growing and growing, and eventually overtake the Wednesday sale. But they get so many cattle there in El Reno that it was better to split those days up, and they can kind of stay concentrated on what they're selling. But OKC West, El Reno on Tuesday, 1,500 head of calves. The calves were sharply higher, $3 to $8 higher for the most part, with spots as much as $10 higher. You see a good quote on some calves in El Reno. 58 head of 539-pound steer calves bring $154. That's pretty darn good, guys, if you haven't been paying attention to the calf market. Ozarks Regional Stockyards, West Plains, Missouri, 2,500 head there. Good market in West Plains. $3 to $6 higher on all classes. Look at Welch Stockyards, Welch, Oklahoma. Look at these big bunches of steers that they had in Welch. And that's a good sale right up there in that four-state area. But the best quote I see here, in my opinion, they're all good, 60 head of 867-pound steers in Welch, Oklahoma at $135.50. Let's talk about Denny Rezak's Livestock Commission in St. Mary's, Kansas. 127 head of 919-pound steers bring $138. Now that's a hell of a quote coming out of St. Mary's, Kansas there, where the calves were $5 to $8 higher and the feeders steady to $5 higher. But probably the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday was out of Beaver, Oklahoma, just not very far up north of the Panhandle here in No Man's Land, Oklahoma. But the Oklahoma Panhandle is not famous for selling cattle highest for the day anytime, but Beaver County Stockyards on Tuesday sold 70 head of 835-pound steers at $143.50. That's your feeder flash for Wednesday.